Hi, I'm Jason with Global Finishing Solutions, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Engage control panel. So the Engage panel is a semi-touchscreen panel. What I mean by that is there's going to be physical buttons we actually have to push, as well as the touchscreen where we can change certain settings. One thing to take note of on your control panel is the alarms screen. If this is yellow or red, it's signifying that there's some sort of alarm. For example, if I push in our emergency stop, we'll see that this will change to red, and there's also red on top saying that there's a fault delay. So that's not going to allow our booth to start. If we were to push the spray button, flash cure, it disables the booth. So if we ever see an alarm, all you have to do is touch the alarm screen, and it'll show you what alarms are triggered. So here we can see it's our emergency stop, so we're going to go ahead and pull that. We see in our training center here we have a Revo unit. Our Revo is in the spray area. It's not where it's supposed to be, so we can see that it's triggered as well, which we shouldn't have to move that. I'll just go ahead and clear those alarms. Now we can see we're ready to spray. Because this is yellow, this booth will not let us have SprayR until we properly park our Revo to make that go away. But we're not going to be spraying today, so we can just leave it as is. Next, let's talk about setting up our time and temperature settings. So on the bottom of the screen, we're going to see we have a few different options. Currently, we're on the time and temp status, which is showing you the current temperature, timer, everything going on inside the booth controls. Anything that's black, we can select. So if we go to our main menu, now we see we have our setup menu, system info, log in or out. This is going to be password protected to change certain protected settings inside the booth. This is going to be done by a service technician. But anything a painter is going to use is going to be here in the setup menu. So here's where we can see our spray, flash cure, and our burner. This is where I bring back in that this is a semi-touch screen. We can't just touch what we want. We have to actually use the arrows to move up or down. So first thing I'll show you is the burner, because a lot of people ask me what this is. When we get into the burner, it's just if we want it on or off in spray, flash, and cure. So where this is really going to matter is in places where it gets really hot in the summertime. We just don't need our burner, so we can completely disable it at that point and save the gas from that system. If we go back to the setup menu, next we can go to cure. Underneath cure, it'll show our time and temperature for curing. And we'll also notice that over here on the left side we do have another option, so cure number 2. This will ask what we want to do after cure, so we can either do shutdown or we can go back into spray mode if our booth is just going to be running all day. It also has our exhaust speed. The reason that's on there is if you're spraying something we need to keep the fumes moving, we can keep that speed high. If it's going to be a clear coat where after the first 2 or 3 minutes most of the fumes are exhausted, we can back that down to again be a little bit more efficient, especially in a colder climate, because we don't have to heat up that cold air. If we go back to our initial screen, if we wanted to change our timer temperature for any reason, all you have to do is touch what you want to change, type in the new number that you want and push enter, and it'll set that temperature. Same with time. If we want to adjust this from 25 to 30, you just hit the 30 and enter, and now that we see our new time is saved. If we go back to the setup menu, it's going to be very similar for flash. If we go into the flash mode and hit enter, again you'll see we have 2 different options, so there's always 2 option screens to check. So one of those is again going to be our fan speed, and then our other option is going to be our temperature. Anytime we want to actually use flash, we'll hit the flash button, which I'll show you in a moment. Finally, we have our spray. This one is going to have a few more options. Our exhaust fan ramp, our spray exhaust fan, all that stuff can be adjusted. The biggest thing is always going to be your temperature. And when it comes to setting temperature, there's going to be a difference if you're spraying water or solvent-based paint. If you're spraying solvent-based, we typically recommend 70 to 75 degrees, or the lowest ambient temperature possible if your climate is hotter than that. So for example, if it was 85 degrees out, we want to set this at 80 to 85 degrees. If you're spraying water-based, the general rule of thumb is same 70 to 75 degrees or 5 degrees above ambient temperature. So if it were 70 8 degrees in your shop and it's humid, we want to set this at 83. Or if it was 90 degrees in your shop and it's very humid, we want to set it at 95. And the reason is that it's going to turn the burner on periodically, help burn out some of that humidity and help your base coat dry a little bit faster. Now that we have our settings the way that we want them, we're going to go back to our main menu. From there we can start the booth. You can check any maintenance menu stuff if you need to, or go into time and temperature, which is kind of like our home screen. From this point we can start using our booth. So you'll notice if I want to change my temperature, right now I cannot do that. In order to change it, I have to go back into that settings screen to do so. Well, we can go ahead and start our spray mode. So when I push the spray button, you'll typically hear your fan start up. It'll show me that the spray has been requested and it's doing a ramp start. Down in the lower right-hand corner, I can see my intake and exhaust fans starting to ramp up. And then as soon as they get to the desired speed, I should be ready to spray. Now that our booth is in full spray mode, if we just sprayed a coat of base and now we want to flash that dry, all we have to do is push the flash button. This will start a purge timer of 3 minutes. The reason that's there, that's a code-driven thing. If we had any flammable product where temperature can't be elevated, it needs to exhaust those fumes for 3 minutes before it ramps up to a higher temperature. Once that purge has completed, you'll see the temperature rise to wherever we had it set in the settings menu, and the paint will begin flashing. At any time we want to go back to the spray mode, we can either push flash again or hit spray to return. You can see after hitting spray on top, we've now adjusted back into spray mode and we're ready to spray our next coat of paint. When we're done painting and we're ready to cure, you then push the cure button. It'll show you again on the side that cure has been requested. We'll see what our fans are doing. Again, we have to do a purge cycle because we're going to elevate temperature. Once that purge is complete, the cure cycle will begin. As the timer ends, the booth will shut down and go into whatever mode we set in that settings menu. So either the booth will turn off or it'll go back into spray mode. At any moment, if you wish to turn the booth off, simply hit the stop mode and that'll shut everything down. If you were in the middle of a spray or just finished spraying, sometimes it'll run through a 1-minute purge or a 1-minute cool down. If it was an emergency, just hit the emergency stop or push the stop button again and it'll automatically stop the booth. So that's a look at the basic functions of our Engage control panel. If you have any other questions or something else comes up, feel free to go to our website, globalfinishing.com. On there you'll see the number for our tech services department. You can either give them a call or shoot us an email and we should be able to answer any other questions that you have.